Two can keep a secret. Beneath the surface of this scholarly persona lies a resentment that devours me. Frigid air bites through my thermals with every gust of wind. He's ahead of me, 3 paces, as if nothing happened. Camp fades behind us in a dusting of snow. 13 minutes remain before frostbite sets in. Our watches are set. If not for our snow machine falling through the ice, we could finish quicker. Thankfully, Murray heard it cracking and jumped off at the last second. Our footprints are breadcrumbs leading to our work site, although the snow threatens to cover them. Moving fast is dangerous. Sweat can freeze under our suits. Raising his hand, Scott calls, "Hold on, there's something in the ice." Murray argues, "We don't have time." He's right. I step between them for a glance. Scott bends to his knees, claws at the snow. It's hard to see through the blinding wind. A cluster of feathers protrude from the permafrost. Scott's gloves drag, pulling chunks of snow and ice. I think it's... Even the sound of his voice raises trepidation. "Wings," Murray says, unenthused. We look at one another. "So what? It's just a bird." Murray checks his watch. "We're losing time." "It must be a giant bird," I say, brushing snow off its wing. Judging by what we can see of it, I guess its wingspan must be 6 feet. This is no ordinary bird. Its feathers are white, nearly indistinguishable from its surroundings. My mind reels, guessing what it could be, but my studies in biology didn't focus on aviation. Again, Murray checks his watch. "All right, if we're doing this, we better shit or get off the pot. There's no way we're making it to our checkpoint and digging this up." He grumbles to himself about it being worth it. The first strike of my pickaxe breaks inches above it. One hack after another, I dig. Ice and snow disappear with every swipe. The others work too, stopping periodically to check the time. We haven't exhumed much before Murray signals for us to stop. He shoves an orange flag into the ground so we can return. Murray and I glance at one another on the walk back. He shrugs. He isn't as studious as Scott or me. His main objective isn't science. It's keeping us alive in an environment determined to kill us. The research center door drags open and closed. We stand in the doorway, acclimating. As we thaw, I search the internet for birds, ones with large wingspans. The results show some, but none that match. I even specify cold weather birds. Stepping out of my gear, I consider that we may have discovered a new species, or something prehistoric. It makes no sense. If it were something old, why would it be at the surface? Surely it's melted and frozen 1,000 times. Over my shoulder, Scott grumbles through gritted teeth. "Albatross," he scoffs. "That wasn't any albatross. The wings were wider, thicker." Cautious of my wording, I say, "It may be something older." "Older?" Scott asks, scratching his head. Murray steps in. "A dinosaur. That close to the surface? Not likely." His thoughts reflect my own, although I don't say so. I scroll through more pictures of large birds, finding nothing. "We'll have to go back out there," I say. Murray lifts a hand to stop me. "We have our own work to do. This is a distraction from the reason we're here." He takes a long haul off a bottle of water. "Do you really plan to stop your research to dig up a dead bird? Even if it doesn't look like anything we've ever seen, who cares? There must be thousands of subspecies out there." I open my mouth to protest, but Scott steals the words before I can say them. "This isn't any ordinary bird. The research can wait. Hell, we've done nothing but work and play cards for 3 months. This is the first interesting thing that's happened since we arrived, aside from the snow machine thing." Blame is on his tongue. It flickers in his eyes. It's clear Murray doesn't like his attitude, and I can't blame him, but he speaks with a forced calm. "If we can't get it up in 2 digs, It stays. Understood? He's the expert. I won't argue with him on that. Begrudging, Scott agrees. Murray looks at me. I nod. I don't like it. It sounds like a terrible deal, but I believe we can pull it off. We agree to try again in an hour, utilizing what remains of the daylight. I scroll through more birds, comparing and contrasting. It's difficult. The memory of its feathers are fading. They were white, but beyond that, the pattern is mostly forgotten. The research consumes me for a bit, blocking out the world around me. When Murray puts his hand on my shoulder, I jump, nearly dropping my phone. I didn't mean to startle you. My jaw hangs open. I'm sorry, I thought you... The words fall flat. I can't say the rest. Concerned, Murray continues. I wanted to ask if you were all right. You seem different lately. Distant. It's an excuse I use like armor. I'm ready to go home. We've been here for a long time and I miss my family. Murray brushes his gray mustache, nods. He knows I'm lying. It's written on his face. You know you can talk to me about anything, right? You're a good man, Murray, I say, patting his arm. That's the truth in all its glory. Murray is a good man. Homely, lonely, but extraordinary. He chuckles. All right, then. What do you say we go dig us up a dragon? Under ordinary circumstances, people would dig with a spade or a shovel, not in the permafrost. With pickaxes on our shoulders, we embrace the formidable tundra. There's nothing in every direction. We're in the middle of nowhere, researching landscapes that may never have been land on the taxpayer's dime. Every step is met by harsh current. Beyond the door, everything wants us dead. We're crazy for coming, crazier for staying. 3 months of our lives lost in our post. Time feels stagnant. Meanwhile, back home, life continues. The flag trembles, turbulent, like it'll blast off into the void. The three of us dig, working quickly but cautiously. Try not to hit it, I call over the howling wind. After a few minutes of excavation, the wing is exposed. Feathers ruffle in the breeze. I can see it's broken. Murray keeps checking the time. It's distracting. After 5 minutes of digging, something catches my attention. Flesh. It can't be, I whisper, pushing snow from the exposed skin. It's a person. Time ticks. I yearn to make more progress. I try not letting this cloud my judgment. My mind reels with possibilities. I consider how a person and a bird ended up in the same frozen tomb. A disheartening beep stops us. A muscular arm leads across the bed of feathers and into a bare chest. I can't step away. It takes convincing for me to abandon the sight. Stealing glances over my shoulder, I walk back towards safety. My stomach growls as we go. There's something curious going on, something I can't explain. As a scientist, I hypothesize. Inside, I undress from my gear and pour myself tea. The others do the same, substituting coffee instead. Over the lip of his cup, Scott stares at me. The hairs on my neck stand on end. His gaze makes my skin crawl. I try ignoring it. Murray clears his throat. Are we going to address this? My heart stops. That's not a bird, he says. Relief sweeps over me. He isn't talking about the other thing, the reason for my nightmares, the reason I can't call home. It's an angel. My cup falls to the floor, shattering and covering my legs in scalding tea. All the pieces fall into place inside my mind, unlike the pieces sprawled at my feet. I find myself in a conundrum because the more rational, educated part of me denies it, but my Catholic upbringing believes. Scott chuckles. That's not possible. His cup clatters on the table. Clearly there's some logical explanation. I begin gathering pieces of glass, careful not to cut myself. A handful of paper towels soak up the spot. I'm on autopilot, barely aware of the mess I've created and cleaned. Murray rolls his eyes. All the studying in the world won't prepare you. How else do you explain a person with giant wings? They continue bickering, voices rise. I stop listening and search through Google's depictions of angels. They look similar to the man in the ice. Faster and faster I scroll, focusing on the wings. They're massive, nothing like a crane or albatross. I stop, look up at the two of them. I think he's right. This stops their arguing. They turn to look at me as I lift my phone, showing them a painting. The feather patterns are similar, as is the body structure. It makes me wonder why they all look like Greek gods. Scott rubs his temples, as if warding off a headache. Years of studying at a prestigious school has not opened his mind. What you're suggesting is... I fire back, yes. Putting down his cup, Murray says, "There's only one way to find out." Scott and Murray exchange uncomfortable glances as we put on our gear. What little daylight we have bleeds. Snow and wind whip our covered faces as we march toward our orange flag, which ripples and snaps. Without much chatter, we hack at the ice. Careful not to cut it, we dig, mindful of the time. Around its head, I become uneasy. The more intricate stuff I dig with my hands, including brushing snow off its face. His face. Thankfully, his eyes are closed. I pry his brown hair from the ice. His lips are purple. Hoisting his body up, Scott says, "I'll be a son of a bitch." The wings are attached. Through his opaque skin, I see blue veins where blood lies dormant. A loincloth covers his lower region. Clearly he wasn't prepared for this weather. Standing over his body, we exchange glances. Not only are we in disbelief, but we've experienced a miracle. Our watches warn us that time is thin. I can't look away. I stare into that simple, almost handsome face, processing. With time remaining, Scott walks away. Murray stands next. "We have to go." "The alarm hasn't gone off," I say, looking from my watch to the angel. "There's still time." The thought of leaving him bothers me, even if it is brief. My main concern is predation. There aren't many predators, but everything is a scavenger. A smirk covers his face as my watch beeps. Murray and I follow Scott. My mind races with hypotheses and possibilities. I plan to have an autopsy. Admittedly, I've only done them on lab rats and fetal pigs in college, but I'm confident I can do one. It isn't the thought of waiting that causes me to act irrationally. It's the thought of sitting inside with Scott, staring at him. Worse, him staring at me. Before I get to the center, I turn to the garage. There, I grab a tarp. Murray doesn't notice that I've slipped away until he opens the door. By then, it's too late. I've begun my descent back into the frozen abyss. His voice is lost beyond the howls of frigid gale. The blue tarp unravels with every gust. Its corners snap, a sail in a hurricane. I continue toward the flag and the body beneath it. I leverage myself against the wind, embracing it. Snow and ice crackle below my feet. As I drop the tarp, Murray curses and screams at me. He can scream and call me anything he wants, when the job is done. The body doesn't release from the ice easily. I roll him over to get him on the tarp. Disgruntled, Murray grabs the other corner and pulls. Even with his face covered, I feel his wrath. With 5 feet remaining, the door swings open. Scott helps us inside. The second Murray's mask comes off, he begins. "Are you out of your fucking mind? Why would you do that? You put yourself at risk." He points to the center of his chest. "You put me at risk, too." "I didn't ask you to follow me." My goggles thump on the nearby table. "Besides, You said we wouldn't go back out for a third time, so I did it in 2. He bites back at words he'll regret. Before he can say what's on his mind, he walks away. That was immature and selfish, Scott says, seething with condescension. Check yourself for frostbite. Perhaps if my body were marred by frostbite, he'd resist looking at me, advancing on me, touching me. Walking back to my bedroom, I realize how stupid my actions were. First, I check my fingers. None of them are black. They're cold and stiff, but otherwise unharmed. I also check my toes. That's where it usually starts. They too are fine. We weren't meant to survive in this weather. I know that. If not for the thermal gear and all the precautions, we'd die. Standing in my room, the mirror fills me with regret. I shouldn't have done it. I know that. I took too much risk, but I couldn't give up in case Murray were serious. For a little while I sit there, contemplating my mistake. I want to apologize for it. I wish he hadn't followed me. Another thought crosses my mind. I'm late. My period hasn't come, and I tried doing some quick math in my head, but I don't recall the last time. The door opens. I spin around expecting Murray. My heart drops when I realize it's Scott. Cautious, he closes the door. My pulse thuds. I don't want him near me, especially in a closed room. The urge to scream bubbles up from within. Sweat creases my palms. He clears his throat, steps closer. We haven't had a chance to talk since the other night. His hand runs across the footboard of my bed. We had fun. You had fun, I think, but don't say. Once close, he smiles. We could do it again. My lip quivers. Tears well in my eyes. I remember all the drinks, can feel his hand caressing me, even still. My body says yes, but I say no. I remember clearly, vividly saying no. His hand pressing against my mouth remains in my memory forever, along with his whiskey breath and the dank smell of his sweat. Trembling, I fight back tears. A knock interrupts. Murray enters. Everything all right in here? Scott steps back, the predator thwarted, for now. I swallow hard against the truth. Everything's fine. Scott looks at Murray with disdain. Murray doesn't notice. We can't do anything to the angel yet. We'll have to wait for him to defrost. Are we sure we don't want to wait for the helicopter? Then we can have professionals take a look. I shake my head. We don't want to give it up to the government. That's a terrible idea. There's no way the truth would ever come out. They'd stash him away in some laboratory and we'd never know. Murray is right to be concerned about us doing the autopsy. Scott adds, I took anatomy in college. Nothing I can't handle. Murray asks, what exactly are we looking for? I mean, what if we open him up and he's exactly like a human? Then we've cut open an angel for nothing. I say, then we'll know that he's exactly like a human. It's not for nothing. He shrugs. That seems like the most likely outcome. I don't expect we'll cut the fellow open and magic dust will come out. The absurdity of it makes me chuckle. We'll do it in the morning. That should be plenty of time for him to thaw. After they leave, the sun goes down. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling. The combination of being late and there being an angel in the other room is too much anxiety for me to sleep. I get up, get dressed. Tiptoeing down the hall, I keep an eye over my shoulder. The last thing I want is for Scott to see me out and about. The hum of the heaters accompany me as I observe his wings, imagining what they'd be like in flight. They're majestic. My brain can't comprehend what I'm staring at. As the ice gives way, more of his features become visible. There are things engraved on his skin, like tattoos with golden ink. To me, they look like hieroglyphs. I begin my preliminary steps, a full examination, including his broken wing. At closer inspection, it isn't just broken. There's a hole in it. Something has gone through the flesh and left singe marks around the entrance wound. Spreading the feathers for a closer look, I observe the wound is about the size of my fist. I can't say for sure the cause, but my first thought is a meteor. With bated breath, I reach down to open his eyelids. I spread them with my fingers, hoping he won't blink or move. His eyes are brown, which I add to my report. The measuring tape rattles as I extend it to the length of his body. He stands just shy of 6 feet. I take my best guess at his weight, reminding myself to fix it if I come to the real answer. It's been a long time since I read scripture, and I try recalling what the Bible says about them, but nothing comes to mind. I consider calling my mother, but decide against it. I don't want anyone to know what we're doing here. Not yet, anyway. A successful autopsy seems difficult without the right equipment. Doubt weasels its way into my mind. I'm afraid I'll mess up. Afraid I'll be mocked by my peers. The pressure mounts. Sitting in my rolling chair with my head in my hands, I try to come to some solution. I don't want to be known as the woman who botched the most important research of this century. There are other options, like calling for help, although I don't know who in their right mind would come here. Letting Scott handle it crosses my mind. The thought makes me cringe. Unable to decide, I pace, checking my emails in between sessions of walking and mumbling. Ginger lemon tea goes cold in a mug on my desk. Failure resonates in my mind. The overhead fluorescent buzzes as I stand over his body, clipboard in hand. I've done everything I can without a scalpel. Still not ready for sleep, I spend time answering emails and writing reports for our other work. Those doubts are a splinter beneath my skin, festering. Tired, I put everything away and shut off the lights. Roaming back to my room, I'm certain if there were windows, I'd see the sunlight. A horrendous nightmare awaits, one in which I'm thousands of miles away from the Arctic in a hospital, maternity ward. A nurse holds my hand, urges me to push. I steal a glance down, expecting to see a baby crown. Instead, viscous black goo stains the sheets. Thumping saves me from the remainder of my nightmare. I scramble to my feet, believing someone fell. More crashes come from the lab. I race out, my heart pounding. In the doorway, I stop, paralyzed by disbelief. His massive wings unfurl. Scott has him in a grapple. I can't stop him, can't get between them, because I can't convince my feet to move. Scott cries for help, but I can't save him. Murray pushes past me with something in his hand. An electric crackle breaks their struggle. The angel falls to his knees. Behind him, Murray wields a taser. As the angel falls, the floor trembles beneath him. Panting, Scott says, "That son of a bitch is alive." There are claw marks on his arms, but he's otherwise unharmed. Scott and Murray move him. There's not much fight left. He's too tired and weak to defeat a mortal man. They scurry, bickering as they devise a half-cocked plan. My interjections are ignored. They don't listen to my reason. They do as they want, dragging a chain into the lab and binding his wrists. The chain ties him to the same table we'd planned on using for his autopsy. All the screaming in the world doesn't stop them. He's trapped, and there isn't any effort to comfort or console him. They choose violence. He didn't get to fully wake up before they overpowered him. It makes me want to cry. Disappointed, I ask, "Why would you do this? Why wouldn't you just wait?" Scott shakes his head. "He attacked me." I'm not sure I believe him, but play along anyway. "He was probably afraid." Other words flutter through my mind, ones I can't stomach saying aloud. For a brief second, I imagine the angel killing him and revel in the idea. Wiping blood from his brow, he says, "He wasn't scared, he was pissed." Scott storms out, slamming the door behind him. Murray looks disappointed. "You weren't out here. You didn't see it." He's right, of course. I can't be mad, really. All they did was defend themselves, but I wish they'd gone about it another way. After Murray leaves, my mind reels. The angel is alive, which in retrospect doesn't surprise me at all, because they're immortal, if I remember correctly. He shuffles around a bit on the tile floor. His wings retract as he hisses in pain. I stand at a distance, observing him as he gathers himself. He sits up, puts his head in his hands, and groans. It's been a rough morning, I can tell. I'm not certain he'll understand when I speak. "I'm really sorry about this. We didn't know you were still alive." He waves me off. Uncomfortable, I chuckle. "We thought you were a bird." His chest hitches. Not a laugh, but close. "Bird, huh?" He stretches his arms and legs. His wings flutter, one more than the other. His face rests in his hands again. I believe he's crying, and I consider releasing him. More questions bubble up, and I have to resist interrogating him. He needs privacy, needs a moment to gather himself. Rather than letting him go, I return to my room where I can think. I pace back and forth while having a mental breakdown. Keeping him is wrong, but letting him go is dangerous. I don't know that he won't seek revenge. I'm not sure he'll make it in the cold if I set him free. Tears stream down my face as I consider the heinous acts we've already committed, and there are more to come. It would be easier if he were dead. I'm in denial. I can't believe that I've spoken with an angel, something much older than anyone I've ever met. He's been in the presence of God and has the answers to all the existential questions. Cupping my face, my chest heaves. Tears drip between my fingers. What do I do? I ask the ceiling. I know if he's watching, he's disappointed. The answer is painfully obvious. I will. Just give me more time. I have to know. It's wrong. I know it's wrong, but there are too many questions without answers. I am a scientist, after all. Once recovered, I walk out into the hallway where I see Murray standing in the laboratory doorway, smoking a cigarette. "It's unbelievable, isn't it?" He inhales deeply. "A fucking angel." Smoking in the laboratory is prohibited, but under the circumstances, I understand. I nod. I'm having trouble accepting it myself. He takes another drag. "So, what's the plan? We can't do an autopsy." "Well, first I want to interview him. I'd like to see what he knows. I'd like to see what time frame he came from." Scott storms in with a black pouch at hand. The look on his face doesn't sit well with me. "What are you doing?" I ask. The angel stands, prepares himself for another fight. He has the same look in his eye that he had the night he took me. It wasn't about sex or romance, but about power and control. I move closer, hoping to get between him and the angel. "What do you think you're doing?" He plunges the needle into a bottle, drawing fluid. "Sedating my patient." I step between them. "Excuse me? Your patient?" Once the syringe is full, he looks up at me. "Step aside, Natalie. Sedating him was never a part of the plan." He scoffs. "It wasn't a part of your plan." Murray steps in. "Hold on, don't you think we should talk about this? You don't make all the decisions around here." I spread my arms, blocking the angel. Wait, hold on a damn second." He doesn't break stride. There's a metal tin full of bandages on the table. I grab it, tip it over, and swing. The hollow metal pan bangs as the needle falls to the floor. Scott stumbles, giving Murray the upper hand. He pushes Scott to the floor and stands over him. With a cigarette hanging from his lip, Murray says, "Easy, fella. Don't do anything you'll regret." "Get off me," Scott says, getting up. Rather than causing more problems, Scott finds his feet and storms out. Other than his pride, I don't believe he's hurt. I see war and vengeance in the angel's eyes. He grits his teeth, clenches his jaw. He says nothing, only stares at the door. Clearing my throat, I hope to draw his attention away from Scott. "Now, if I could ask you some questions." Asking for permission to record crosses my mind, but I don't think he knows what it means. Clicking the button, I slide my phone onto the counter. "Can we start with your name?" The chains rattle as he stretches. For a little while, I don't believe he'll answer. Then he says, "Moloch." "Moloch, I'm really sorry about the current situation. My name is Natalie, by the way." I open my mouth to ask the next question, but he speaks. "Why are you afraid of that man?" My heart sinks. Even he knows something's wrong. Can we get back on topic? Expanding his wings, he winces. I remind myself to treat him after our questions. Even though we've been together for nearly an hour, I find myself in the same amazement as when I first realized what he was. "Where do you come from?" He scoffs. I want it for the record. "Answer, please." "Heaven." I nod, glancing at my phone. I can't imagine my colleagues back home listening to this interview. The imposter syndrome lurks beneath my skin, but I don't have time to deal with it. "What brings you here?" He doesn't answer. A little firmer. "Moloch, why are you here?" He still doesn't answer. "How long have you been here?" He shrugs. Staring at the chains wrapped around his wrists, I wonder how long they'll hold him. They're not keeping him here. Neither am I. I've already considered setting him free, and believe I will. For an hour I press him, but he doesn't say much. Most of the questions he ignores. The ones he answers, he does with simple responses. Exhausted from the badgering, I stop the recording, wondering if I have anything useful. "When will you set me free?" As I walk across the room for the first aid kit, I wonder if he's read my mind. The thought scares me a bit. By the time I have the bandages out, I've chalked it up to a coincidence. He allows me to touch his wing, which comes as a surprise. We have some banter as I ask him about heaven. My phone sits on the counter, not recording. I consider turning it on, but change my mind. While dressing his wound, I give him water. At first he looks unsure. Then he drinks it. That answers one of my questions. "Are you hungry?" I try imagining what an angel might eat. The thought hadn't crossed my mind. We could have starved him. He shakes his head. "When will you tell me about that man? Why are you so afraid of him? When he comes around, you squirm." Hoping to brush past the subject, I say, "Scott? He's kind of an asshole sometimes." Not satisfied, he shakes his head. "It's more than that." Moloch is blunt. Telling him the truth will only cause me more harm. I want to. I'm dying to unburden myself, but can't. If he knows, then Murray might find out. I can't win. The only way it goes away is if I keep it to myself. I assure you, it's not that interesting. Besides, we're here to talk about you. The chains rattle as he takes his place on the floor. "My story isn't that interesting either. I was an angel, now I'm not." Confused, I ask, "You're not?" "I'm nothing more than a bird in a cage, right?" His words add to my mounting guilt. Rather than pushing him further, I return to my bedroom where I barricade the door. I don't want to leave him alone, but don't have a choice. I'm afraid of what Scott might do in my absence, but I can't watch over him around the clock. I try to convince myself that if something happens, I'll hear it. This allows me to sleep, briefly. This nightmare is similar to the last. Rather than giving birth to dark-colored goo, a baby comes out, one with red skin and razor teeth. It bites the tending physician, tearing flesh with a rabid hunger. I wake up with an unpleasant jolt. As the dream fades, his well-being comes to mind. I sit upright, hoping that Scott hasn't gotten to him. In a hurry, I wrap a robe around myself and remove the chair from my door. Trying not to gain attention, I tiptoe to the lab where I see him. He's sitting, back against the table, staring off at nothing. Without looking at me, he says, "You worry too much, Natalie." How did you? The question falls dead. Unintentionally, Murray startles me. He looks disheveled. A tattered Bible stands between calloused hands. "I know who you are." Moloch scoffs. "You were cast out of heaven along with Lucifer. I'm guessing you never made it to hell." This revelation hits me. I hadn't considered that he might not be a good angel. A million theories had crossed my mind, but not that. Filled with sarcasm, Moloch says, "Now that you know who I am, I assume you're going to release me immediately." "Not on my watch," Scott says, marching in. "We planned on running tests on you when we thought you were dead. I plan on running tests on you anyway." At once, everyone begins bickering. I'm busy raising my voice at Scott. Murray is screaming at me. Moloch watches. "Stop!" I scream. "There's a better way to handle this, a more civilized way." It was a bluff. I couldn't think of anything. I just wanted them to stop fighting so I could think. There has to be a way where everyone gets what they want. Moloch's voice rumbles. "What about what I want?" He's right, of course. We hadn't considered that. Scott screams, "You have no say." His behavior is appalling. Color fills Scott's face. "I'm getting some blood samples. We can do this the easy way or the other way." Rather than attacking him, he turns and walks away. This is confusing at first, but then I realize he doesn't have his stuff. I can't imagine he'll do it with both of us there. We'll stop him. I can tell by the questioning look in his eyes, Murray is struggling with the morality of keeping an angel prisoner. I rub my eyes. I don't know how long I can hold him off for. The angel shakes his head. "Then don't. Let him do his tests, as long as it means you let me go after." It's the best deal on the table. That much I can't deny. As I watch him collect himself, I wonder how long we'll keep him. I don't think those chains are going to hold him forever. I don't think I will either. Even though he's only been in our custody for 2 days, I've already considered setting him free. Standing at his full height, he looks me dead in the eye. "If you tell me why you can't look at Scott, I'll tell you everything you want to know." Again, my heart sinks. My first instinct is to scream no and run, but I can't. There's something in his eye, something that tells me he may already know. I can't decide if it's true or not, but I take a seat anyway. "Are you sure that's the conversation you want to have?" He chuckles. "It may help you." Great. My hero, I think, in a deep sarcasm I regret. "Fine," I say, throwing my hands in the air. "If that's what you want." The look on his face says he won't believe anything I say. I decide not to lie to him. "You tell no one." He nods. Not that there's anyone to tell. There's only one person who doesn't know, and he's suspicious. I check over my shoulder, assuring nobody is behind me. "All right, So we don't have a lot of alcohol here on base, so we don't drink often. Not that I drank much before, but I have a feeling it may have been a problem for Scott. Anyway, the other night we have a couple. I admit we'd been a bit flirty before that. We're only human after all. Moloch smirks. So we're playing cards. After a few drinks, Murray goes to bed. Scott and I keep going. We may have had more than we should have. Like I said, we're human. We're flawed. Anyway, I stumbled back to my room. I thought I was alone. I shouldn't have flirted with him, or maybe I should have gone to bed sooner, or whatever. He shakes his head. It's not your fault. The sting of oncoming tears worries me. I'm undressed, lying in bed, wishing the room would stop spinning. The door creaks open and Scott comes in. I don't have the energy nor the ability to fight him off. I say no, try to scream, but it's too late. He's on me. I look away, fighting back watery eyes. There was nothing I could do. A scowl covers his face. That's awful. The chains drag as he moves away. I can't see his face, can't tell what he's thinking. I'm not sure I want to know. I clear my throat. Your turn. For 2 hours we spoke about God, heaven, and the existential stuff. When he speaks of his time there, he sounds both mystified and at times disappointed. His explanation of what happened didn't paint him in a great light. While admitting to betraying God, he reminded me of his loyalty to his friend, for better or worse. Everything he says I catch on recording. Once finished, he asks, "Are you satisfied?" I am. Per our agreement, he allows Scott into the room. With his equipment in hand and a smug look on his face, he approaches. He looks at me, then at Moloch. He sets his things down and washes his hands. I regret my decision. I don't want him to go through any of the procedures. In my opinion, it wasn't fair. I consider calling it off. The water turns off. I'd like for you to lie down on the table. It would be easier that way. He fumbles through his belongings in search of a pair of gloves. When Moloch doesn't move, he stops. The chains prevent him from getting on the table. Oh, right, Scott says. He reaches into his bag for the keys. In an instant, Moloch moves. He's behind Scott with the chain wrapped around his throat. Bewildered, I can't do anything but stare. Perhaps there's a part of me that doesn't want to do anything. A deep, resentful part that devours me. Scott's face turns from red to blue. He gasps, hands grasping the chains. His eyes grow wide and afraid. Moloch doesn't stop there. He continues to squeeze. The struggle dissipates and the lights in his eyes fade. Scott's head pops off and thumps on the floor. I can't bring myself to look. His lifeless body falls too. I'm vaguely aware of the blood trickling closer to my feet. With Scott's death comes relief. It washes over me like an orgasm. The look in Moloch's eyes terrifies me. The veins in his neck are thick cords standing at attention. His biceps are rock hard and soaked in blood. He grits his teeth, grunting. Up and down his chest heaves as he screams, breaking the chains that bind him. They clash to the floor. His enormous wing brushes against me as he walks past. I do nothing, say nothing. The words are lost somewhere between fear and astonishment. In a curious daze, I follow him. In the hall, he encounters Murray, who he grabs by the throat. I want to stop him, need to stop him. Can't. He lifts Murray off the ground. The old man struggles. His feet kick. He pleads for his life. I understand why he does this. Murray helped chain him to the table, aided Scott in defeating him. He discards Murray's lifeless body by tossing it to the side like garbage. I understand why he spares me. I negotiated his freedom, defended him, befriended him. I'm the only one. He walks to the door stoic and quiet. There, he stops and turns to face me. He looks me over, curiously. From the wall, he grabs Scott's snow gear. He rips the jacket and pulls it over himself, the wings fitting around. Pulling on the snowsuit, he extends them to their full capacity. They're huge and beautiful. The boots come on last. Rather than lacing them, he pulls the strings tight with a single hand. He's free, I think, watching as he grabs the door handle. An image of a broken cage passes through my mind. He stops, looks over his shoulder, and says, "You're free too."
I was born from a love affair between a Russian mobster and a prostitute. My father killed my mother to keep me a secret. Thankfully, I survived and escaped to America. Once there, I became a model, until a man discovered my father's identity. He kidnapped me and ransomed me. This is my story.